Hey, this is Notser, and this is the Tier 4 German cruiser Karlsruhe. It has 8 main guns, 2 secondary guns, 2 AA guns, 4 torpedoes, a top speed of 27.9 knots, total health 22,700. For my modules, reduced crit chance on main battery, reduced flood and fire chance for my commander, basic firing training, faster turret traverse, lower cooldown on damage control, and advanced firing training. We are on the map New Dawn, and the Karl is not exactly the cruiser I would like. I would much prefer the Kuma or even the Phoenix. This ship is just mediocre at best. Obviously, it's a low tier ship, so you can't really expect much, but its modules break all the time. Damage control is a must. You must get reduced cooldown, at least for the early Germans. They just seem to be very vulnerable to module damage. And I'm talking critical module damage, propulsion, steering, knocked out constantly. So that's one thing I would say that you should focus on minimizing, and you should also try and get the hull upgrade as soon as possible. Hell, even consider skipping the default hull, because the rudder shift is not acceptable. It just felt awful, and until I got the hull, I felt like I was vulnerable to a lot of things, especially broadside fire and torpedo attacks. Enemy Phoenix headed for sea, and we're engaging at long range because that is what the Germans excel at, apparently. You could see it takes a long time for the round to land, almost 10 seconds, but it is 12 kilometers out. Most enemies that you're fighting down here do not have the range to even engage you, and if they do, their AP is not as effective as yours. Many times I would say at this extreme range you can't really rely on AP getting a citadel penetration, so you kind of have to have that balance of getting in range so you can guarantee citadel penetrations, but staying out of range to where you're going to get crippled, because you will get crippled a lot in this ship. I almost want to use Last Stand, it's that bad. Run into a couple enemy destroyers, and this guy is a little sneaky. He pops out, fires, and he goes back in. We've got the hydroacoustic. So what we're going to do is we're going to use damage control to try and set up a torpedo attack. We are also going to turn it on because there's smoke. This guy's going in and out. Better to just guarantee that we'll see him the entire time. Big broadside shot. We take out propulsion. He's going to have to use damage control. He's setting up for a torpedo attack. We've got to kill him or at least punish this. Friendly sends out torpedoes, assists us, and protects us from the enemy Clemson torpedo systems. Now, in that particular situation, we relied heavily on our team to back us up, but the enemy destroyer was so greedy that he gave away his ship in an attempt to destroy my ship. Anytime you see an enemy that's run aground, don't sacrifice your ship. You are doing exactly what they want you to do. You're giving up your ability to continue the fight for an easy kill. Most of the time, you're not even going to get that kill in time to warrant the risk or the ultimate failure that you've just given the team. So that enemy destroyer is hiding on the other side of B, and this is real annoying. We would love to kill him, but we don't have line of sight, and I'm just trying to back up to get line of sight and to be able to deal with anything that might come up. Right now I don't know a lot about the enemy. I only see 6 enemy ships, and there's 11 ships total. The enemy destroyer shows his backside. We fire. Looks like he is moving forward now. He sends out torpedoes. Friendly Isokaze is really close to them. Is he going to get out of it? Is he going to avoid it? They're really fast. Can he do it? He takes one. Is he going to take another one? He's running, and the enemy destroyer pops right out. He stops again, and unfortunately the Isokaze has died. We do knock out his propulsion, so he can't back up as fast as he wants to. 2,000 right on the front, and he drops off. We've lost hydroacoustic, so we're not benefiting from that scout. Enemy cruiser in front of us is a target that isn't hidden, so we're going to engage. And this guy is the tier 3. It is basically a Dresden with more armor. I'm going to assume it's the Kullberg. But yeah, I didn't really spend a lot of time on these ships because, quite frankly, they're kind of hard to use. This isn't something that I felt real comfortable playing in. I much prefer the Omaha, the Murmansk, or even the Marblehead. These just felt underpowered. And I don't know if that's me or it's the ship itself. I feel like it is the ship. And yeah, you tried, Mr. Destroyer. You tried to send out your torpedoes, but we knew what you were doing. We were already turning. He's played his hand. He has to escape now. And he escapes right into the clutches of my friendly cruiser, who finishes him off. Enemy Ishizi Chi, and he's got the Halloween camouflage. 100% XP increase and 4% reduced gun accuracy when being fired on. So it's basically just 100% for 30 doubloons, 1 charge per battle. Yes, 30 doubloons per battle invested in that camouflage, but 100% XP is fantastic. And if you're trying to just skip a ship that you don't like, or you want to get through it as fast as you can, it's just a good way to increase the speed of leveling. And you know, for me, XP is not an issue. I've got tons of free XP and tons on the ships. It's credits. If this was 100% credit, oh, I would buy it in a heartbeat. But since it's XP, it's of no value to me, really. But it does look awesome. I really hope they get a lot of camos in, and I really think this is probably gonna make a lot of money, because the camouflage, especially pretty cool camouflage designs, could really entice me to spend money on it, because I like that stuff. There's a lot of weird and wacky camouflage that actually existed in real life. Ship camo is one of those things that is just like bigger than real life. You'd never think it would be so goofy looking, and then you'd see it and it is that goofy looking in real life. So we were trying to engage the enemy battleship. Not really effective. The extreme range is very difficult to land a shot. The velocity of this particular ship doesn't really allow for that. But the Karl isn't going to give up. He's going to look for an enemy target. And I'm going to fire on any target that I can engage, but I would love to engage that Phoenix. He's on the other side of the island. Not a clear shot. So for now, we're just going to fire on this enemy battleship, who is engaging my battleship. And he is a tier 4 versus a tier 3. We need to make sure the South Carolina has a chance of surviving. And the South Carolina has pretty good angling. You saw he took relatively minimal damage. We set 2 fires on the enemy battleship. And I believe he's going to burn for a little bit. Of course, the enemy Phoenix takes precedence. So we're going to engage him. We switch to AP. We unload our HE. He is going to angle a little bit. We set a fire. And it looks like we're going to have 1 shot to fire, which we do before he gets behind the island. And 1 round ricochets off. Maybe that would have been the difference. Unfortunately, the Phoenix is allowed to survive, and we've got company. We've got enemy torpedo bombers coming in, and they're coming in much faster this time, so we have to be aware that they might want to bomb us. Funny enough, the battleship dies to our fire, so we get a nice clean kill, and we didn't really put a lot of effort into it. And this Phoenix, he just wants to hide, so we can't compromise the angling of our ship because enemy torpedo bombers are too close. And they try and send them out, but we're not gonna fall for your tricks. So the Phoenix would rather die to my allies than me. Okay, I run into this far more often than I want to. Why do you want to give yourself up to other ships than me? Do I smell? What is wrong with me? We're engaging the Langley. This guy is out in the open, super slow ship. Enemy torpedo bombers behind us. I fully expect that he's going to try and send something, or he's going over. And our AA is completely worthless. Two guns? Really? 2 guns? We're trying to get that Citadel penetration. We're firing right at the waterline. We send out our torpedoes. We are close enough to the effective range, and we're just not getting that Citadel penetration. We should have probably used HE, but AP is superior for German cruisers. I would have assumed that the reward would have been worth it, and I'm just not seeing it. So we're going to do our best. Looks like one of our torpedoes is completely off the mark. With so few torpedoes, you can expect that. And it looks like, is the other one gonna? Yes, it does. We take out his propulsion. We cause flooding. He sends out torpedoes. Thankfully, he's probably using automatic, so there's enough time to react, but a player that was using manual drop and more comfortable with it would have devastated me in that scenario. I kind of tunnel visioned. I wasn't fully aware of where the torpedo bombers were. Keep that in mind that it was a huge mistake by me, but a player that just picked up the carrier is of course not going to be comfortable enough to perform everything that a high tier player that's played 1,000 games in the carrier. And look at this lag that I've been getting. It's so weird. Of course we get a citadel penetration with the lag occurring. And of course it's taken out by a friendly. A sliver of life. And the friendly fires and gets the kill. We did most of the damage. You know what? And another lag spike. It's kind of annoying. I hope it's not my end. Enemy torpedo bombers incoming. The torpedo bombers are angling. And we're just going to try and keep them in a position where they don't have an ideal torpedo attack. Another Langley. These guys are real slow. The Langley itself only caps out at like 15 knots. So even if they knew I was coming and they were moving away, I could easily catch up with them. It really is a terrible experience, and he drops torpedoes behind us. We're just going to check. Oh gosh. We've got to make sure that we can fit in between the torpedoes and engage the target. And in doing so, we're not going to have access to all the guns we'd like. If you notice the layout of the ship, the turrets are center aligned, and I would need to position the ship at some angle to allow the guns to be used on the target. Otherwise, I give up a lot. I give up 50% of my gun's potential damage. It's just an aspect that you got to deal with. And this guy's burning. He is in dire straits. It's not a good situation. Anytime a enemy cruiser is this close to you and you're trying to run away in a Langley, you might as well just sign the death warrant and be on with the next game. We got a citadel penetration. We take him out. 3 kills. But look how close these points are. We're barely ahead. They've got an extra base to ours. And the enemy is mostly around A. Finally, we get an aircraft after firing for, probably that entire engagement with the Langley. It's just, they're just bad because they're low tier. So the German cruisers so far have been predictably vulnerable to module damage and ineffective with HE when compared to Japanese or American. You need to really use AP, but AP has stipulations that requires the ship be broadside, obviously, so you can get that maximum damage potential. So most enemies don't want you to kill them. It's rather hard to maximize your AP efficiency, but I'm still trying. Now on the Russian side, the Soviet destroyer line, it is very frustrating. The torpedo range is minimal at best, so you can't make use of it except in suicidal situations, which I don't recommend. The guns themselves, especially until Tier 5. Tier 5 you get the 130mm guns. The Tier 1 is actually fantastic. It has 130mm guns and more range than the German equivalent. But you have to use old Imperial Russian guns on the tiers 2, 3, and 4. And those are very small caliber. I believe 102, 105. Minimal damage, and you can't use torpedoes. It is very hard. I wouldn't recommend that grind on anyone. But I've got the Tier 5 now. It feels much better. And we're trying to cover this distance. Obviously, a lot of talking about random stuff because this cruiser's slow. Remember, the Phoenix and the Kuma are both very fast ships in comparison to this. I believe the Phoenix is one of the fastest cruisers in the game at 34, 35 knots. Somewhere in that realm. And the Kuma feels great. So it's a little frustrating. Yeah, you've got the range, but it's going to take you a while to get into an effective range. And we finally have caught up with the enemy Kawachi. He is very low health. He's set on fire. We're landing shots, but doing minimal damage. He's engaging the friendly target. He's put out the fire. So, for another salvo, he will be immune to fires, but he should be able to have fire stick on him now. And of course, we're not landing the fires. Fires would be fantastic. HE damage is minimal with German cruisers. I'm almost considering using AP. There's the fire. I'm almost considering using AP against a battleship just because the potential to second fire. Never mind. HE's all the way. Best thing ever. And we're able to kill the enemy ship. Just a single enemy cruiser, and we've been all over this map, taking out a variety of different ships, and this is an enemy cruiser. Looks like he's going to take torpedoes from the friendly aircraft carrier. He's a St. Louis, so he can't really get out of the way. Yeah, okay. So we get 4 kills, a couple fires, couple citadels, solid game in the ship. It's not a spectacular game, but I wanted to share my progress with you. 1200 base XP, 60,000 points of damage. Good luck with your Soviet destroyers and the German cruisers. I know the feeling. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you next time.